That's right. Hey, what's going on, y'all? How y'all doing? This is Lunch with the OG. This is the Real Family Therapy Podcast. I appreciate y'all being patient with us today. It's 94.1 FM on your radio dial, WFNULP, St. Paul, Frogtown Community Radio. And as always, with the Real Family Therapy Podcast, I got my father and my brother with me today. We got Are You Serious? And we got Dad on the line. How's it going, fellas?
All right.
Going well, young sir. Kudos.
That's good to hear. It's good to hear. It's good to hear. It's good to hear. So today is episode 4. Shout out to us, episode 4 of the Real Family Therapy Podcast. And really, we just want to talk about what's been going on this week in the world, in our lives, in our homes, in our thoughts, and in our prayers. And before we got on, we were talking about Joe Biden, recent presidency. I guess that's the biggest news of the week. Last week when we got on, we were talking about Donald Trump and who he's going to pardon. And I asked the question, I said, y'all think he's going to pardon Lil Wayne? And Donald Trump did, in fact, pardon Lil Wayne from jail, even though he hadn't been sentenced yet, which is super dope. So he got the crime off his record for the rest of his life, did the crime, pled guilty to it, never had to spend a day in jail. But what surprised me and what kind of made me feel good about, I don't know, you know how somebody
talking about Bannon?
Yeah, Kodak Black.
Oh,
not Bannon.
I you're talking about Bannon.
No, I know he was going to release
all my bad. I thought you were talking about something that actually meant. My bad.
Yeah. No, we're not talking about that important. We're talking about my personal feelings, okay? I felt like, he was being nice to us. He gave us Kodak Black, too. Nobody expected Donald Trump to pardon Kodak Black. I know Dad like, who is Kodak Black? Yeah, Dad,
I don't know what Kodak Black is. That a film or something?
No, that's right. It's a film. No, he's a rapper. Kodak Black is a rapper as well. And I don't even remember what Kodak Black was in jail for. To be honest with you, I just know he was in jail for a long time.
Parole violation or something. I don't know.
So congratulations to Kodak Black and Lil Wayne being pardoned by the president of the United States of America. I don't know. It kind of made me feel good.
Wayne was pardoned. Kodak Black was communicated.
She muted. So that means he ain't got to do no more time.
Right. And then if there's any financial fees associated with Kodak, he doesn't have to pay it either.
Okay.
So that is the big difference between being commuted, especially the financial aspect to the commuted thing. Like you don't have to pay, like, you know how they make you pay fines or whatever the case may be associated with your crime. He doesn't have to pay anything now.
Yeah, and that'd be the killer part, is that restitution. That's what they call it, restitution. That restitution be here. They take that out, like the feds take taxes out. Yeah, but he pardoned a lot of people. Restitution, he pardoned a lot of real criminals, though. Like he pardoned a lot of real. I mean, they was all criminals. I guess they in jail, but you wouldn't think, like, I don't know, man. There's people doing hundreds of years for crimes, conspiracy, drugs. I don't think he let go anybody who's a violent criminal. I don't know, maybe Harry O. I didn't know who Harry O was until he got pardoned.
He just got all his gang back out.
Yeah, I was going to say, those are violent to me. They do more destruction than somebody going and stealing something from the grocery store. The people he let out, they destroyed millions of lives. Ray.
Literally, he let a lot of people out.
Down the street. Yeah, he
let people out that were going Wall Street.
Like Steve Bannon impacted millions of people. And we talking about Kodak Black. What?
See, I don't even really know who Steve Bannon is, to be honest with you. I don't even know who that is.
Oh, boy.
Who is Steve Bannon?
He was his
wasn't he like a Secretary of Defense or something? Oh, okay.
I don't know. I gotta look it up. I forgot. I keep mixing him up because he let go of like all of his people that was involved with like financial issue. It was a lot of finance stuff, and that's what a lot of people he let go is based off of financial crimes, which are the worst crimes because they impact so many people. Like when you talk about like the stocks and stuff like that, or those type of crimes and stuff that impacts a lot of people, and those people got out. So I don't know. I mean, once again, I don't like talking about stuff I don't know in too much detail, but I do know
Yeah,
that the people he let out was ruthless.
Yeah, he was an investment banker, political strategist,
Mm-hmm.
Steve Bannon, Breitbart
Yeah.
News website.
Yeah,
And
that dude. Yeah.
speaking of that, I don't want to go off subject, but let's move on. He let a lot of people go that wasn't good. He let some people go that didn't deserve to be in jail. Shout out to Donald Trump. But Breitbart is like a left-wing news app. But did you see what they did to Parler? Recently, Google Play and Apple have removed Parler from their app stores because, and the government is trying to shut Parler down because of their act, and they hold Parler responsible for the Capitol riots.
Well, I get So for me, it's weird because I don't know anything about Parler because I'm not racist, right? So it's funny to me. Like, for example, I wouldn't go on Parler and start complaining about the racist people and the big like that. That makes no sense, right? Like, why would you go to a site knowing that it's a racist site and complain? But yet they go to these liberal sites going ham. I would have never known about Parler. Not at all.
Yeah, I never heard about it until the Capitol
No clue.
riots.
No, why? Well, I don't go looking for racist stuff to go hang out in. Like, hey, y'all calling me an N-word? Let's go see what's going on.
I don't know, man. Parler is I kind of feel like it's kind of impeding on. I don't know. In one way, everybody has the right freedom of speech, right? So I feel like even if it's
start a
hate
newspaper,
speech, you have the freedom of speech, and that's another thing I was gonna say. Now the other thing is, okay, you could say whatever you want, just not on our platform, right?
And that's
so
the whole
Apple
thing.
has the right, Facebook has a right to, Twitter has a right. All of these, because Twitter just banned somebody else too for life. They just banned Donald Trump and one of his associates. They just banned. I told you.
Ain't nobody say none of this stuff when they banned Honorable Minister Farrakhan. But all of a sudden, when it's all these white folks, my freedom. But when it was Farrakhan,
yeah, right. He's a terrorist.
Yeah.
Shout out to Farrakhan. But yeah, that was messed up how they did him, and now now everybody's getting banned, and all of a sudden it's a problem.
I'll be all right. And I think and that's where they get this confusion of freedom of speech doesn't mean I have to let you talk crap to me on my own platform. No. What? That's like going to your boss and being like, yo, I'm about to start this newsletter at work talking about how whack you are. You think they're going to let you do that? Is that impeding your freedom of speech? No, fool.
It was Mike Lindell, the CEO of MyPillow. Mike Lindell has been banned from Twitter.
Hey, he's a Minnesota dude too. Don't forget.
Yeah, and he's from Minnesota, right? Which made
me Minnesota dude. He's running for governor.
Realize it. No, I hope not.
He's running for governor. He's running for governor. Let me look.
But he's a Donald Trump. He's a Donald Trump.
Yeah, I'll never have another MyPillow. I'm thinking about throwing my pillow out that I got.
I always wanted to buy one. You bought one?
Yeah, but they got freedom of speech, but they also got something called defamation of character. So how can you have freedom of speech and defamation of character? If I got freedom of speech, I can say what I want, right? But then they got laws against defamation of character. So there ain't really what you call freedom of speech. They got limitations on that. And people just don't want to, freedom of speech was only meant for religious purposes in the beginning.
It was meant for the government not being able to literally incarcerate you. Yeah.
So, there ain't no such thing as real freedom of speech. You can't be free to just say what you want. There's limitations because you could you could go to jail.
Right. You can't incite a riot. You can't tell people to kill people. That's not freedom. Yeah, you can't do things of that situation. He is considering running for Minnesota governor.
Yeah, I've seen that Mike Lindell. He's running for the governor of Minnesota, man. I hope he don't get it. I'm mad though because I always wanted a MyPillow. I see the commercials all the time. I never bought one. I always wanted a MyPillow.
Have you seen his head? I don't want nothing. If he using that pillow, I don't want it because his head is messed up.
Hey, man, you gotta start making me laugh.
And
Ever since we doing this podcast, I realized how ugly my laugh is. So,
Lord,
yeah, I'm gonna try not to laugh on podcast.
Material girl in your material world. Shut up.
Yeah, it's just really.
I don't like my laugh.
I just don't like it. Okay, Hey, speaking of laugh, did you notice anything different about me today? Are you serious? On the Zoom call?
What?
Yeah,
You notice anything
All
different?
Lives Matter mask. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a full-grown mask on.
You
I
got
had
an
to
All
go
Lives
supersize
Matter
my
mask.
mask.
Yeah, You trying not to
All
get
Lives
harassed
Matter.
by the police. By the
He's so
police.
smart. He is so smart. Because that is exactly why I got this mask on everything I love. So when the police see me, they be like, "Oh, he's on our side. He got the red, white, and blue flag with the police
You in St.
colors."
Paul, all you gotta do is say "Little Chris," and you good.
Shout out
I don't
to
see
the
no red in that flag.
No, this the police.
You just got the
red
white
on
and the
today.
blue.
Yeah, it's just,
Took all the red out.
yeah, that's the police version of the flag. Yeah, all America. But okay, speaking of all of America, let's talk about our newly inducted president. We talked about Donald Trump. Now we got Joe Biden, Joseph R. Biden. I don't know what the R stands for, but he came into office and signed 17 presidential amendment things. I forget what they call it. What's the real name for them?
Executive orders.
Executive orders. Like, he signed 30 of them.
Yep.
In the
10 was
first day?
reversals. Of the 30, 10 was reversals of Trump's policies.
Yeah, we seen Trump do that too. When he got in office, he reversed everything from Obama.
Yeah.
Trying, yeah.
It seemed like a vicious cycle. But one of the things that he says that he's in an effort to pull off, not only is he trying to get us the money, he said he wants his stimulus checks to come out no later than the end of February. And the Senate is trying to do a filibuster. I don't really understand what filibuster is, but just filibuster on that. But one of the things that he did that kind of sparked my interest here is that he's taking steps to revive an effort to put Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. The plan was laid out by Obama in 2016. It was tabled, of course, by Donald Trump. He doesn't want to see that on his money. And now that Joe Biden is back, reelected, that's one of the first things that he's trying to get done. And okay, let me ask you, because I don't want to give my opinion. Let me ask you, are you serious? What you think about this Harriet Tubman thing?
What? Don't you see the happiness and the excitement in my face? Yeah.
So you're excited about the $20
we don't
bill?
get nothing we asked for. Nothing Ice Cube was talking about. Nothing.
Yeah, you know they weren't gonna give it. They weren't paying no attention to Ice Cube from the beginning.
We're gonna do something we were supposed to do 10 years ago, and we just gonna say we gonna do it again. That does nothing for me. I don't even know what that is. What is that supposed to do? Putting Harriet Tubman on a $20 bill? I get it to a degree, the symbolism, but I'm tired of symbolism. Give me something tangible. For black, say it's for black. Once again, if y'all have things in the Constitution specifically saying black people aren't, you can put something that say black people are, or black people can, or black people have. Y'all had no problem singling us out from all the other races. I didn't see nothing about Asian people in the Constitution saying how they are 3/5 of a human. Nothing. But all of a sudden now we got some orders they just put in talking about we're going to make sure that we stop this xenophobia specifically for them. Like, I'm tired of it. I'm tired. Once again, that's why I told y'all, keep messing around with me, I'm gonna be a Republican. I'm just out of spite. They're gonna make black people Republicans out of spite. It's gonna be out of spite.
Because
there's already a bunch of black Republicans.
But out of spite. They are
Anybody
black
that's got
Republicans
money
because
is a
they
Republican.
believe it. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, because they think that they're special. I'm talking about everyday black folks are going to be like, I don't mess with the Democrats because y'all keep playing us like a sucker, playing 3-card Monty, talking about all you got to do is find the red. And every time I touch the card, it's the black card. So that's why I said they're going to be, if they don't do something within these first 100 days drastically, even if they make Juneteenth a
Something
holiday,
like what?
you're doing
I
that
don't
for
understand.
everybody.
Something like what? What is specific about black people that black people need that they ain't already got? What's something specific?
Well, for
What
example,
bill
they
would you
say
like
we're
to see
going.
passed?
Okay, so for example, they say we're going to do these things for black people, like we're going to stop mass incarceration, right? So instead of they just say all people, right? So I would like some legislation and some acts to be like, okay, we're going to specifically look into all these black cases to check for racial discrimination and to verify these cases specifically for black people because we know that they are 2.8 times as more likely to be incarcerated or whatever the odds or whatever those numbers are, right? So I want something specifically looking into black cases, not people of color, not all races. When we talk about the inequality for housing and these housing loans, I don't want y'all looking up inequality for black for discrimination for housing. I want you guys to specifically look into the discrimination for black housing and then correct it. We can do the reparations specifically for black people. Cut that check. I don't want to hear nothing about no, we got to figure this out and look into this and look into that. Y'all didn't do all that stuff when it came to the Holocaust and paying them people out. And when y'all
Or the
paid Japanese people
Japanese,
out, y'all didn't have to do all this
the
10
Native
years and 20 years of
Americans.
research. You can specifically give us that money in those aspects. You can specifically look into these. If you are saying that we are the most or we are the people that are hit the hardest when it comes to healthcare, then specifically go into those numbers that you already have and specifically say, black people, this is for you to equal out that healthcare discrimination that we have and that we know the numbers are. So that's what I'm referring to. Like, if you guys can tell us that we're the worst in these things, then you can specifically point us out and help us out directly with those things that you say that we're the worst at. That's
So
all I'm
that's like
saying.
another affirmative action program.
No, affirmative action is everybody.
Yeah,
Affirmative
that
action
includes
doesn't even
women,
help us. Affirmative action includes a white woman.
minorities. Yeah, that
The
includes white
Affirmative
affirmative
action
males.
help
action
white.
was that you would actually take steps towards
No,
actions towards helping these people
but
instead of
that's not
just
what it
having a
was.
generalization.
And that's what I'm. But that's what I'm saying. Like they told you it was about helping black folks, but what it was about helping everybody else, and then black people just happen to trickle in. So affirmative action helps white women. Affirmative action helps gay white men. Affirmative action kind of helps black folks. You might see one or two of us sprinkled in there, but white
True.
women have benefited from affirmative action 10
The
times more than
most.
any black person.
Well,
So that's
absolutely.
what I mean by I don't want to see that people of color in general say black people if you know that we're the worst. If you keep telling us that we're hit the hardest
But
with COVID,
don't black people include Mexicans,
no,
Africans,
I don't
anybody
know.
of dark colored descent?
No. They've
So
never
you got to
literally said
specifically say
they
African Americans.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like they never said they always say people of color and minorities. And minority doesn't mean anything but the less of. Whatever is the minimal in that group. So anything outside of a straight white male is considered a minority.
True.
And that's where I was saying like they need to specifically say something about black people. If y'all have all this research pointing out how we're the most impacted by COVID and we have the worst health in healthcare in COVID, but yet you still got to do research about how you can help the black people, make up your mind. You either have the numbers or you don't.
True.
So if you guys can say we're the worst and we're the least helped and we're the least this, then do something specifically for black people and equal it out. Because that's why I'm saying like what they think equality is. And there's a picture, and I'm pretty sure Mr. Editor is going to find that picture out. But there's a
Mm-hmm.
picture where it has a fence, and it says this is what people think of as equality, and everybody is trying to. There's a fence this high, right? and they give everybody the same height box to look over the fence. Well, if I'm taller, I'm going to be able to see over the fence. But if I'm shorter, I'm still not going to be able to see over that fence, even with we got the same block. What they need to do is get the appropriate height difference to make sure that everybody can see over that fence the same way. So if we know that Black people only have $300 in the savings compared to $17,000 in every white family, then there's a problem. If we know that Black people make whatever a certain amount less, or that 50% of Black people are on whatever, or on 80% of people are on whatever the case may be, like some type of welfare or some situation, then you know the gap, you know the numbers. I don't want to. They know the numbers. So my thing was, it's not about, stop saying people of color, stop saying minority, Black people. Y'all can point us out when we get arrested. Y'all can point us out and say we're the most we commit the most crimes percentage wise, and we do all this. You guys owe all the numbers. Y'all can point out Chicago numbers about the killings, but now all of a sudden, when it comes to giving us what we deserve or signing legislation in to make sure that we're good, all of a sudden now it's just people of color or minority. I don't want to hear it. I'm tired of it. I'm cool.
But the problem is we got our people voting against us, because there's
Okay.
Black people on the Republican side that are voting against bills to help them.
They ain't got no excuse. We got the lead in the Senate and the House. Do something, because Trump wasn't asking no favors.
Because
Trump
that's
wasn't
why
asking
Trump,
nobody to.
Biden has got all these things he say he want to do, but it's impossible to do it all in as much time as he say, because he don't have that much participation.
I'm not worried about all. Just do the stuff you said for Black folks. I don't care.
So those are the hardest ones to get by.
Cool.
Because we got the minority in all of them. We're the minority in the House. We're the minority in the Senate.
Then work on them for 4 years.
And plus, we're the minority in the House and the Senate. And plus, the minority
Who's
is
the
still
minority?
on the other side.
Who's the minority? What are you talking about?
Black people.
Well, there's only been 11 Black senators in history. So,
we don't have
it's
more
not
than
about
white senators. We still don't have more Blacks than white.
Well, that's not the question, but it's Democratic. So, for example, right? All those Republicans don't care about Trump's policies and procedures and what he believes in, but he's a Republican, so they backed him up. So the same way that Biden is a Democrat and the Democrats have the power in the House and the state, I don't want to hear no excuses. There's no excuses at this point. It's not about how many Black people are in the Senate and how many Black people are in the House, because once again, I just saw this thing. There's only been 11 Black senators in the history of the Senate. Only 11 Black. So we're not talking about the amount of people there. It's about y'all. Y'all's thing is we're Republicans, we're Democrat. In the
history of the Senate.
So there's only been 11.
And it's been congressmen.
Yeah. So in the Senate, there's only been 11. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not
nearly
about
232
it's not about
years.
It's not about having the majority of Black people in the House or the majority of Black people in the Senate. It's about y'all talked about y'all as Democrats and y'all ride for y'all. The Republicans roll for the Republicans no matter what. Once again, they was following Trump, and Trump's a lunatic. Trump had nothing to do. It had nothing to do with Trump's color. Nothing. He was a Republican, so we gonna do whatever he rides with. I want to see that
Trump was controlling their money. Trump was helping their money. You're talking about money, Black or white.
That's all it is.
Blacks.
That's
there was
all
a lot
it
of
is.
Blacks in the Senate that was voting for Trump. That was backing Trump. There's a lot of Blacks
because they were Republicans. They were Republicans, but there weren't any Black senators that were Democrats and voted for Trump.
No, Republicans I'm talking about.
Congress.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't matter anymore when we have the majority lead we don't need them. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't need their vote. That was the whole point. That's why things didn't get passed the last 4 years, is because the Republicans had the House. The Republicans had the Senate. So if now we have control of the Senate, then I don't want to hear anything. I don't know why I got a Zoom. I got a phone call. But if the House is ran by the Democrats and the Senate is ran by the Democrats, I don't want to hear anything. We don't need the Republican support. We don't need the Republican backing. We don't.
We only have the majority. We don't have the the control.
That's
You
Yeah, I
still
think we
need
like 4
17.
votes.
You still
Yeah, I
need
think
17 Republicans to gain the control.
yeah, I think
We
we're a
don't have
little
enough.
short.
We don't have enough. We barely have 50-50
it's
in
50-50, and then there's
Democrat and
two,
Republican. But in
and then
order
there's
to
two
get over
independents.
a bill, you need to have a 2/3 vote for most
Yeah, but
cases.
see, I think right now the way that the climate is going to be a little different because I think the Republicans were so enamored with just following whatever Trump said, and they kind of put the Republican Party on the back hold and the people on the back burner because they were so enamored with just following behind their leader because they never seen somebody who
But they're
took
not
over the
fools.
Republican Party like that.
They're
Right?
not
So
fools.
yeah, so that's why they voted for him. So now that Trump is out of office, they have to go back to being human beings again.
No.
They
So
still
They still
following
got
Trump.
77 million people out there that voted for
They're
Trump,
still following
that
Trump.
believes in his ideals. So they
He just started.
still have to cater to those people if they want to get reelected.
Yeah, he just
They
started.
still have to get reelected. And so Trump's
What
Okay.
did he just
base
start? Trump
is
just
big.
started an advocacy thing so that his policies and his things can still move. Like, so
Well, he
anything
gone.
that he wants policy done and whatever. I forgot. I got to look it up. My computer's acting funny. But anything that Trump wants to do, he can still move it because he has a political party still that advocates for it. So he has a whole department now. Trump does that will push any agenda that he wants or whatever the case may be. So the Trump factor isn't going away anytime soon. It's not like, okay, Trump's out of office, now we good. No, buddy.
That's why it's so important for them to get him found guilty on this impeachment. So that way they make sure he can't come back. They're still afraid he's going to come back because
Yeah,
he has
because
those
he
many
has
people
so many people.
and he
Vote
has
for
those
him.
many senators. If you still go through the Senate, the Republicans in the Senate, they still believe the election was rigged with no
Yeah,
evidence
because
whatsoever.
I
As
yeah,
don't
it
long
know.
just
as
said
it's true
Some of them.
Trump opens Florida office to push his former administration agenda. So he's still there. He
Yeah,
still
so
has his
there's,
backing.
these Republicans are not, they might be mad at what happened, but they ain't fools. They're still politicians. So they're going to go by whatever they think they can get the most votes for. So it depends on what states they're in and what the climate is around them. So the only way you're going to resolve this is it's going to take time to get them out. The only way this is going to change is when white people become the minority. And that's their biggest fear, is that they will become a minority one day. Then
Yeah,
things
but
will change.
They get
yeah,
their stuff together.
they close to him, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
Oh, it's going to happen. That's why they're trying to close the borders. Why do you think they want to stop people coming in here?
That's
Because ain't
another
nobody,
thing Joe Biden
white
did.
people, you don't see no white people trying to get in here. These are all minorities trying to get in here.
No, they
I,
do get in here. They just don't put a fuss about them getting in here.
I didn't
Because,
realize that Trump still had orders banning people from Muslim countries to come into
yeah.
America his whole entire presidency. So
Yeah,
Joe
Biden
Biden
got rid of that though.
just
Yeah.
released, got rid of them. I didn't realize that he still banned 4 years. He was banning these people from coming in the country. Like the whole time he was president. I didn't realize that. That's crazy.
But we also have to realize as well that I was talking to Sean about it, but talking about how how everybody was talking about how Obama was using all these drone attacks and he was blowing everybody up and he was ruthless with his drone attacks, right?
Right.
And Obama killed more people with the drone attacks more than any other president and da 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 da. And Trump came and saved the day. Trump in his 4 years bombed more than in Obama's 8.
I didn't
And there was
realize
another
that either.
statistic specifically. I forgot what it was, but I think it was. There we go. Okay, so it was Somalia within Obama's years was bombed 41 times in Obama's 8 years in office. From in January 2020 to May 2020, Trump bombed Somalia over 40 times
in 5 months.
within during the pandemic and during the running the office and all other stuff. And nobody said nothing about that because we worried about what Trump is tweeting saying China flu. But
Hold
that
on, he a
dude,
bomb Somalia?
he had more drone attacks than all Obama's 8 years. Trump had more drone attacks in his 4. And within 6 months, he bombed Somalia specifically 40 times.
Hold on, now you know Minnesota, we got the largest Somalian
Exactly.
president
And I bet you
in the
they got
country.
some fools in Somalia voted for Trump. I
I didn't
promise
understand
you.
that. I didn't know that. You know, and we just had that insurrection for
I
the law.
promise you.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why we beefing with Somalia? What they do? They still starving over there, ain't they?
They ain't giving up something. We want something that they got, and until we get it. Excuse me, till they get it, because I ain't getting nothing. Until they get it, they gonna keep blowing them up.
Wow, I had no idea we was beefing with Somalia. Shout out to all my Malis out there.
But they'll probably try to put it as,
West Side.
we're just trying to implement democracy, and we're trying to implement freedom for the people, and there's some, I don't want to hear it. The only reason I said that is because I was watching a movie called Behind the Wire, and it was about this drone pilot that just came out on Netflix, I believe. Yeah. So but it was just talking about drone. It was a drone pilot, and he was so easy to kill people because he was in a office in Nevada, just shooting a drone. But then when they put his butt on the field, it was a totally different story. And all of a sudden, he was sensitive and he didn't want to kill people. So
I bet so. It's easy to play a game versus doing it in real life.
Yeah, but enough. But all that saying is that, like, with this whole political atmosphere, one, I don't think anybody has ever been more aware of politics. Well, the country hasn't been more aware of the political status of actual things as much as it has now because of the ability to get the information as quickly as we do. So even during the civil rights movement, I think that there was a lot of Black people and a lot of people that wanted change, but we didn't really understand it all of how it's done and what actually can and cannot be done and what was actually being done behind closed doors as much as we do now because of the technology.
Yeah, they didn't know. They didn't know what was going on politically.
We just knew we didn't like it.
They still thought Kennedy was the man. Kennedy didn't do nothing. Lyndon Johnson is the one that put through all the policies, changed policies, and changed things. Kennedy didn't do nothing but play politics.
Yeah, but we don't even know nothing about Johnson. We just hear about Kennedy family. So because it was titillating.
That's what they talk about. Kennedy and Kennedy for the Black people. Kennedy with King. But Kennedy didn't get no policies changed.
They popped them for a reason. I don't know what.
Same reason they was killing all of them at that time. The image. They want control. Man, well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it has nothing to do with what you can see. That's for sure. It had nothing to do with the politics that you see. It had to do with the politics behind doors. And usually, people don't get killed only for one thing: money and power. So it had to do with some policies he was looking at that's concerning money. One of them was the Cuban thing, the way that they shut Cuba down. That was a main reason why he wasn't so popular, because Cuba was making a lot of money for these mafiosos.
True.
And that was the big place to go, Cuba.
And I'm not trying to add to the conspiracy theory, but I did watch about the killing of Kennedy, and there was a lot of mafia members surrounding the dude that got that killed Kennedy, that they said killed Kennedy. He was definitely mob affiliated. I don't know if it was a Italian mob or what, but he was definitely mob affiliated. I seen a documentary on that. But yeah, I don't know nothing about Kennedy. I wasn't even alive back then. I don't know I know so I believe everything
What?
that you're saying. I
You
said, I
wasn't
know
alive for a
Dad
lot
was.
of stuff. You do know that,
Right.
right?
So I'm like, so I got to take Dad's word for it. I don't know what he
So you only
he
know
wasn't
stuff
alive.
between you only know stuff between 1981
Yeah,
and
what?
today.
You don't know
Yeah,
nothing
I
about
don't know how.
politics because they was
You
made
know,
before you.
okay. Let me explain what I mean by that. So people that was alive during Martin Luther King Jr.'s time got a real sense of the atmosphere surrounding Martin Luther King Jr. So a lot of times we hear that he wasn't very popular, but during my time growing up, Martin Luther King Jr. was the man. But I guess during his time, he really wasn't looked at as the man. So that's what I meant by
I
Kendrick.
posted it about it last year. I didn't even feel like entertaining that conversation this year about how they hated Martin Luther King back then. I'm talking about they hated that man. Once again, the FBI attempted to kill that brother several times, and it's documented. But like they hated Martin Luther King, but now all of a sudden they love him, and we want to protest just like Martin. Wasn't y'all throwing dogs? Never mind. So it's like they don't. It's a green lighting is what they call it. Green light, green light, green light, green light, green light. Say it 10 more times so people can hear you in the back. Green light. So it's a whole bunch of green lighting going on in this country, and that's what it's based. That's what the country is based off of. Green light. We have a country that was based off of slavery, but then we say all people are created equal. I don't know what you're talking about.
True.
You know what I'm trying to
True.
say? They say Trump is terrible, and then 2 seconds later they say Trump is a good man, and then they go back to, well, Trump didn't do anything wrong. It's all green light. It's all green light. So when the Black Lives Matter people were protesting, these thugs and these criminals need to stop babying and stop crying and just take the loss and take it how it is. Now when these white folks is, don't you understand, they're just frustrated and angry. They just feel like something was taken away from them. This is what they're saying on Fox News. So
yes. They
they're
trying to
literally the
downplay them.
people who tried to overtake the government. They are backing them, saying, "Well, you know what? They were just upset and frustrated, and they're not bad people. They're just tired of being unheard and used. Ain't none of them being discriminated against. They're pushing that discrimination on them. Once again, I can't turn off my skin. I can't change it. Well, some people can, but never mind. Sammy Sosa, shout out to him. But I can't change my
Just
skin.
say
But
that
you don't
too.
have to walk around with a you know what you're doing if you're walking around with a MAGA hat on. You know what you're doing when you put a Trump 2020 flag on your car in 2021 after he lost. Like, you know what you're doing.
And you know what that implies.
You're self-inflicting these things based off of saying that what I'm telling you isn't true, is what you're telling me. I'm not being discriminated against, but you are, based off of literally nothing. Like, it's the weirdest thing in the world. I don't get it.
That's because Trump was close to making America great again. See that again. When was America great? That's what you got to That's what you got to find out. When in their
The good old
mind
50s.
was
Andy
America great?
Griffith.
When blacks were kept in slavery, when blacks were kept submerged, subsistence, when the white man could go into an office for a job interview and see 5 black people, and he be the only
And
white
laugh.
man, and he can walk out confident that he got that job. That's when America was great, according to them. When they were in control, when they always had somebody that they could be better than. See, and that's the thing about that culture. They had to be better than somebody, and so they chose black people. They knew, okay, I'm better. I'm always going to be better than them. Well, what happened was Trump was trying to get that back again. He was trying to bring that back to the way it was, and now that's being destroyed, and they feel like they're losing themselves. They're losing their only thing. They're losing their only hope of being always being on top. They knew they were always on top just because of their color of their skin. Just like black people knew they were always going to be discriminated against simply because of the color of their skin. And then they say that racism is not systematic. Yeah, racism is systemic. It's a systemic thing. It's been in place, it's been in this system for so long that it's hard to just erase it. I don't care who you are. If you're white, it's in your system somewhere. You might not want to have it. You might not like it being there, but it's there somewhere. Now the hard part is just keeping it down and trying to keep it, erasing it out. And then they're trying to do that generationally. That's the only way that's going to come out, is by generation after generation after generation. It'll get less and less and less and less. Right now, it's probably, we are probably at the time where we have the most opportunities to take advantage of what's before us. What's before us is that we have more, not just Black people, but more minorities in office in the White House than ever before in history. So there's a chance for every aspect of America to be heard. You know, the Indians, the Chinese, the Blacks, the Mexicans, I mean, they all can be heard because there's a voice out there that can speak. Now,
same ability as for them racists.
Yeah. But yeah, so the thing is that, you know, they've been there. A lot of them have been there, but they weren't able to speak as freely as they can now. Now freedom of speech is being infiltrated inside the Capitol because of Trump. You know, Trump did that. Not because he was freely speaking what's good for the people, because he freely spoke whatever the heck he wanted to say, and nobody could say nothing about it. So now can't nobody go into the White House and say, you shouldn't talk like that, because they'll just say, well, what about Trump? He's going to always be their example. Well, what about Trump? He could say, he said whatever he wanted to say, and he was the president. I'm just a senator, and you trying to tell me I can't say what I want to say about my people in office? So I can't say what's needed for my people. And so, you know, it's not nearly where it should be by a long shot, but we're getting close. We have a partially black woman as vice president. That's huge, not just because she's Black, but more because she's a woman. You know,
because now it's a first gentleman. First time it's ever a first gentleman. They didn't even know what to call a woman. They didn't even know what to call them at the inauguration.
It only means something if she doesn't have that mentality of a white male, though. So once again, I got a hoodie for her. That's cool and all, but I just need to see it. I mean, like, and that's why I said I'm tired of symbolism. Like, it's cool. I am glad that we're able to see a woman of color in the office and a woman at that, and I appreciate it. But I am tired of the symbolism. I need you to do something. Because, for example, Pops, if I came to you with a whole bunch of symbolism, but I never actually was doing anything with my life, you would be like, if you don't do something, that's cool and all, but you got to do something. If I never did anything, then it doesn't mean anything to me. Like, that whole symbolism is cool, but if she doesn't actually do something in there, if she doesn't actually make some movements towards some real change, then it was all for nothing. And that's where we got caught up with Obama, was the symbolism. We was just happy a black man was in there, and that was it. That was enough for us. That's not enough for me. I need something more than just a symbol of hope. I need the actual thing to actually happen.
That's right.
Obama was hand tied. His hands were tied. I mean, he had the Republican Senate that was always against everything he wanted to ever do. The fact that he got the Obamacare Act through, that was a miracle right there.
Right.
You know, but not because, and again, like I said, most people think it's the health plan that he got through. It wasn't the health care. It was the other things that he got in there, which was, you know, some of the tax holes that he closed for some of these big corporations. That is what is hated about Obamacare. It ain't not have nothing to do with the health problem. The health, they could care less about health, but they put that out there so that people can say, you know, so that the public, because most of the public don't know what's going on anyway. They don't read the rules. They don't read the legislation. They just know what's being portrayed on TV. And so the only reason, and Obama was just as slick as everybody else. He said, well, I'll just talk about the health problems, and that way I can get my stuff in and on the slide. And see, and that's what the first thing that Trump came in, he wanted to get rid of Obamacare. But while he was talking about Obamacare, not once did he ever bring up a health solution, a health program. not once. But what he did was he got the act that
The
changed the
base.
tax laws. The tax law changes, he got them in for his people, for the corporations. So that's why they loved him. People, I'm telling you, there's people that loved what Trump did because he made money for them. He put a flat tax in for corporations at 20%. Corporations were paying 35% tax before, and some of their loopholes were closed by Obama. Trump came in and put the 20% flat tax in and kept and replaced some of those loopholes. So people are not understanding what he was doing. He didn't care about the health care. That's why people are asking, well, you don't like the health plan. You haven't given us one. Well, he ain't trying to give one. All he cared about was the tax thing.
If I make enough money, I can buy a doctor. Right? I don't need to pay.
So he didn't care about that.
It's the real. See, I don't think the 20% flat tax is a bad thing per se.
Not for corporations.
Yeah, as long as you're a corporation, I don't think it's that bad of a thing.
It's bad for you.
Loved it. That's what they wanted. They loved it. They saved 15% off the top on taxes.
Yeah, you're right. Are you serious? That is bad for me because that cut off all our money that we need, that we depending on.
Are you? But you're not a corporation now.
Most of us aren't a corporation, so it doesn't even apply to us. Like it hurts us because we now don't have the funding that could be allocated towards things that actually impact our day-to-day life. And once again, people keep talking about they don't want their tax money going to welfare and The majority of your tax money goes towards the military. Yep. That is where the majority of your tax money goes, is military. What is it? It was some crazy number. I think I know it's over 50.
You just cut out. What'd you say?
My headphones is acting up.
Okay, there you go.
My headphones is acting up. I don't know what's going on with it, but no, I was just saying that the majority of the taxes go to military, and I mean it's just I don't know. I'm ready to move. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm just ready to go to another country. So I just rather not deal with it personally. It's just, but I mean, there's really no escaping to go to another place. But I'm just tired of it, man. I really am. Like it's just I got a lot more life to live in this situation. It's just draining, man.
And you got to find a better one. That's the only.
Because I'm aware.
Yeah, that's the.
I can't. I'm not naive. I'm not one of those people on and the actual impact to it. So for me, I'm not one of these dudes that's just dumb and be like, man, I'm not voting and I don't care because that don't impact you. It does. It does on a day-to-day basis. And for you to think that these things don't impact you is for you to. That's exactly. They want you to keep saying that. Please keep saying your vote doesn't matter. Please keep saying that because it doesn't. It just helps whatever they're trying to do. It just helps them, and it's just frustrating, man. It's frustrating because I am aware of what's going on and I understand it. And the more you understand and the more you read, the more you like, the more you learn, the more you don't know. Is basically what that saying goes. The more you keep trying to act, the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know nothing.
Right. Yeah, because every day something popping up. And I don't know. I think that's one of the good things that happened with the Trump administration was, like Pop said, it opens up everybody's eyes and ears to the world that we kind of all put in our back pocket and shut off. Every year we thought about the president. 4 years we get to vote. Yay, we voted. We got a new president. Is we going to war or not? And then that was pretty much it. That was the extent of our thinking. And now that we're all grown up, especially this generation is getting older, and with the influence of the internet. I mean, the internet is like, it's like super check. Can't nobody lie to you no more, and then you go home and you have to figure out what they said. You could tell somebody could say something to you right now, and it take you 30 seconds to verify whether or not, they lying or not. So I think the amount of information that we finding and that we're getting is opening our eyes. And you're right, it makes you know that you really don't know everything. But the good thing is you can find it. You can find the information really quickly. And
if you want to take the time to look.
Right. And then what you're going to do with it once you find it is the next level and the next question. What you
Well,
going to
see,
do?
what Trump was an expert at was that he taught that if you keep saying the lie over and over and over again, people will believe that it's true, regardless of what you look up and find. But he
Mean
just
nothing.
kept saying it over and over and over, and until the people that believed in him believed him more than they believed what he was, the truth. They didn't want to hear the truth. All they wanted to hear was from him. So that was, you know, he did some good things. What I said was this: Trump would have been stayed president if he'd have just kept his mouth shut. But he couldn't do that. He didn't know how to shut his mouth because he did some things that helped, you know, helped the society and helped the world. I mean, helped the United States. He didn't care nothing about the rest of the world. But, you know, there were some things he did that was good, you know, like people that were rich stayed rich and got richer.
The rich got richer for sure.
You know, the people that were poor stayed poor and got poorer. So he didn't make a change in that way. Like some of the tax things he put in for the regular people was good, was that, you know, that deduction, the standard deduction, raising the standard deduction to $25,000 or so. You know, that helped a lot of people right there. And it's as good as a flat tax because, you know, if you made less than that, you ain't got to pay no taxes. So,
Right.
you know, it don't matter. You ain't have to worry about doing a whole lot of, you know, deductions and all that stuff. So he did some good things. But what you got to look at is how long it lasts. What's the expiration date on it? And what else, and what comes back at you, you know, when he's done. So most people don't know about the stock market. They you know, most people could care less. All he did was point it at the stock market. Look at the stock market today is the highest it's ever been ever in life. Yeah, it's going to be that way every year because it keeps going up. So every year somebody can say the stock market is higher now than it's ever been in life. Yeah, it keeps going up because
Yeah, but
money keeps going up.
hey, speaking of
So
stock, you just said that. I don't know if y'all seen the stocks for GameStop. Have you seen this? It's trending right now on Google. GameStop, which is a video game store, their stock rose like 400% in the last like 3 or 4 months because of a trend on a website called Reddit. Somehow Reddit and the Reddit file made the GameStop stock shoot up when GameStop hasn't made a profit in 2 years, and they're not set to make a profit for another 2 years or something like 2023. They're not ready. They're not going to have a fiscal profit, but yet their stock went up over 400%.
How could they not have a profit?
That's what it said online. You could Google it. It's a GME. I don't think I don't know how you not have a fiscal project. But my mind,
the stock price is based on other things other than what the company is actually doing. The stock price is based on what people think the company's doing or what they think the company can do. It has nothing to do with physical, you know, because none of these companies are worth as much as they're selling for on the stock market. Because if you look at it, it's just assets, their assets, they never have enough assets to cover the amount of stock that they're selling for. So you know, the stock market is so iffy. It's gambling. You know, people don't know they're gambling. You know, it can go up and it can go down just as fast as it went up. You know, but you got to catch it while it's down, and then hope that it goes up. But what people do is they watch it go up and they go and jump on it. Oh, it's going up. I want to go buy some of that. So you're just making them richer. You're not going to make any money off of it because you're buying it high. But that's what people do because they don't know anything about stock. They don't know they don't know how it works. They just know that people say you got to have a stock portfolio. You got a stock portfolio? Well, what do you got? Are you diversified? What do you got in your stock market? Well, they don't know how stock works. Stock works like this: buy low, sell high. But
yeah,
people want to buy high.
They lost $470 million in 2019. GameStop did. They closing 300 locations permanently. Their stock price in April was $3.25. As of Monday, it was $76.79. So it's really
speculation.
Yeah. So what happened is something about Reddit. They started a game just to stick it to the Wall Street market. So people did it online and increased the stock of GameStop just to stick it to Wall Street to show people that stocks really aren't, it ain't real like you said. It's just what you think the company is, because how does somebody go from $3.25 to $76 in a little over a year, and they lost $470 million that year?
And I also was reading about, I don't know if y'all can hear me or not because of the stupid headphones. I'm having issues, but yeah. Something called treasury stock. I don't know if y'all familiar with that or anything. Dad, I don't know if you are or not. But that's when the company buys back their own stock and then they can retire it, and then that can increase their stock prices as well. So they can literally not do anything at all. They can just buy a whole bunch of stock and then retire it, which means it never existed, and then that increases their overall stock prices. But they have to buy it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that makes
it's manipulation.
Yeah,
you can manipulate the market. That's why there's all these laws against, by the SEC. The SEC can't keep up with. Whenever they get a law, there's somebody out there trying to figure a way to get around that law. So the SEC can't keep up. They try to put laws in place to prevent people from doing all that. So while people's watching the left hand, the right hand is doing something else. So they'll put a law in to say the left hand can't do this. So the right hand starts doing something. And they say, well, now I got to watch the right hand. So while they're watching the right hand, the left hand went back to doing something else. So, the laws are just ineffectual, pretty much. You just got to learn. The only people making money on the stocks legitimately in the stock market are the stock brokers, the people selling the stocks, the accountants that are advising about the stocks. But the people that own the stocks, they have to be aware. They have to pay somebody to keep on top of it so that they can sell it as soon as it starts dropping. And they can buy it when it's low. So it's the people that's in the marketplace that's making the most money. Why do you think you see all these stockbrokers with airplanes and driving limousines all over New York? And they're making the money because every time they tell you,
no matter what, they profit.
Right. You need to sell that stock. They're making money off of it. You need to buy that stock. They're making money off of it. Off of every transaction.
Win or lose, they win.
So they can't lose. They're the house. You can't beat the house. So,
and for you to understand these financial statements, I'm in this accounting class right now, and my eyes crossed at least 5 times already. Like, I don't like to understand the financial statements and the notes of the financial statement and the balance sheets within it's so. You need somebody that's a professional to understand it and digest it. And that's why people like Pops go to school for it or whatever the case may be, because if you don't look into those financial statements in detail and understand it, you can be invested in a company that's about to bust. But for you, it looks like they're going on the rise. But if you don't understand that financial statement, it don't mean nothing.
Yeah, the financial statements, it's just for the government. It's just stuff that they have to say what they need to say, and because people are looking at the stock prices. Once they become open on the stock market, that's the goal. The goal of every company is to get on the stock market, because then you can become a billionaire overnight, just on speculation. Because somebody says, well, but what people don't look at, they're looking at what's invented, what invention is coming up. Well, this company is inventing this. And so we're expecting this out by so-and-so time. That information is privileged information. If you buy stock based on that information, you're breaking the law. But how do you enforce that? How do you enforce the phone call you got overnight from somebody saying, some janitor saying, I heard they was doing this at that company. And he gets the insight, that's called insider trading. You're not supposed to buy off of that information. But that's the only way you can make money. It's off of insider information. How do you make money on the stock otherwise? You can't wait till it happens and then do it.
Because then it's too late.
Like they always said, if you see it in the newspaper, it's too late. It's too late to invest in because it's already been done. So, people are, the stock market is good for some people, but you got to have millions of dollars already in order to make money.
Because what was that movie where that dude was taking those pills and that he was getting smart and it was opening up all his brain and then he was like one of the smartest people in the world by taking these pills? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Matrix? I heard of it.
It's not the Matrix.
It's the name of it, though.
It's like Selfless or something like that. But anyways, the thing that I took away from that movie, right? He was the smartest person in the world, but he still had to go to the street to get enough money to play, to actually use the money for the stock market. Like you got to have money to make money.
Yeah.
And that's like he was the smartest person in the world by far. He was able to access more parts of his brain than anybody ever was. But he still had to go to the street dude to get the money, the loan shark, to get money to make real money. Because without that, he wasn't able to do anything. He was just playing around with it, but he couldn't do real things with that money. So when they talk so for me, I want to get a little bit more invested into the stock market, but you got to have real money to really do something. Like you might get a little money here, a little money there, but to really actually do something, you got to have real money. And that's where it's just,
you got to have real money, or you got to have a lot of time. You got to have a lot of time to investigate companies that are starting up. You got to investigate the startups.
But if you don't got no money, you can have all the information in the world, but you can't do nothing with it with $5. What am I gonna do with $5 and all the information in the world? Nothing.
No, you gotta have some hundreds at least.
And that's what I'm saying. Like you gotta have some real money to be able to use that correctly, or else it's just pointless.
But if you're looking at the Dow Jones, like people look at the Dow Jones and they look at the NAP, all of that stuff don't mean nothing unless you got millions of dollars to invest. If you got $10 million, then the stock market, the NASDAQ and the Dow looks like it's an investment. Then you can see, okay, I invested $1 million. It just went up $1. So what? You just made another, $100,000. So that's how they're making the money, putting in the big money, and then
they live off that stock and only have to pay taxes on the money that they made, opposed to all the money that they invested. And that's another thing as well.
That's why you have so many people that are getting beat, getting conned, losing millions of dollars, and they ain't going to jail. There's people that's cheating people out of millions of dollars every day and don't spend a day in jail. Because one, the people don't want nobody to know that they just got cheated out of $10 million. So then they'll look like a sucker. So they won't press charges. They won't advance it. They might pay somebody a couple $100 to kill them, but they're not going to go to court. They're not going to send them to court because they don't want people to know that they lost that money. That's why they got those shows, those shows that used to be on about people getting beat. That's because that's where you make the big money, is you have to get in at the bottom floor of some kind of investment that you can invest in, and that money can double and triple.
And then the day-to-day person that's just trying to invest a little $5,000 or $10,000, they get cheated out, but they don't have the resources to fight it in court.
Right.
They don't have the money. I can't sue. Listen, these lawyers, once again, these lawyers cost money. I spent almost $12,000 last year in lawyer fees alone. Like, these lawyers cost money.
Lawyers, and they don't big bucks.
They don't care what your situation is. They don't care how much money you make. You're going to drop at a minimum of $10,000 if you take something to court. Literally, if you personally take something to court, that every email they send you costs. Every phone call costs. Don't send me no email. I don't want to pay.
For a criminal lawyer just to get him to come to court.
I'm not even talking about getting to court. I'm just talking about, hey, how you doing? That's $500 right there. And I'm not playing. That's $500. Hey, how you doing? What can I help you with? That's $500. People ain't got that type of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that's how people get over.
That's why, they say it's black people, but it's really poor people wind up in jail.
Yeah.
That's why we fill up the jails, because we can't afford the defense.
I can't afford to be free.
You can't afford the defense to pay a lawyer to defend you. So all the black people that have a public defender who is just coming out of college and practicing. They get to practice. They get to practice. They're called, practicing attorneys and practicing physicians and, all these people practicing on people for years before they become specialists, or
for personal
partner.
Lawyers cost money, and like you said, it's $10,000 at the door, and if you want some, be a little bit more. It's $10,000 just to say I'm here, you representing. But if you want some results, I'm gonna need another $20,000. If you're trying to get off, I'm gonna need another $30,000.
I don't know if you saw Power, but that dude was selling drugs. You hear me? To pay for his mama's lawyer fees.
Man, I wish my lawyer fees. I probably would have never been to jail. If I could have paid off my lawyer a little more money. But literally, even the lawyers will tell you, like, it costs money. It costs. If I want to do an investigation, I need to hire an investigator. I need to do this. I need to do that. It costs money, man. It's DJ Double OG. We got Are You Serious? We got Dad in the building. It's Real Family Therapy Podcast. We're gonna call it a show today. Appreciate everybody tuning in, and I don't know, maybe I'll see y'all next week. But before we go, like always, we gotta hear from Dad. See if we got a dad joke for us today before we sign off.
Yeah, I got one. There was this rich couple going out for the evening. The lady of the house decided to give the butler Throckmorton the night off. So she said they would be home very late and that he should just enjoy himself for the evening. So as it turned out, the wife didn't have a good time at the party. So she came home early. She walked into the house and eyed Throckmorton sitting alone at the dining room table. She called for him to follow her. She led him to the master bedroom. She closed the door and locked the door. She looked at him and smiled. Throckmorton, take off my dress. He did so carefully. Then she said, Throckmorton, take off my stockings and girdle. And he silently obeyed her. She said, Throckmorton, remove my bra and panties. The tension mounted as he completed the task. And finally, she looked at him. She said, Throckmorton, if I ever catch you wearing my clothes again, you're fired.
Hey, I thought this was going. I'm like, where are we going with this? Is this erotica 2020?
Throckmorton was dressing.
I see. He's tripping. Hey, that's a good one because I was all in, like, oh my God.
I was disturbed either way.
Yeah. Erotica. Oh man, we appreciate the dad joke, man. I love y'all. Y'all got any last words before we get up out of here?
Sarate Wadata.
Don't believe the hype. The revolution will be televised.
And these white folks is running it. Y'all thought it was going to be us. And I know it's them. They thought it was going to be us jumping the Capitol. No, it's them.
Yeah. Fooled you. Okey doke. All right, I love y'all. We out of here, y'all.